That there is American firepower raining down on targets in Iran. U.S. forces conducting a 10th night of strikes, and we could be on the verge of the possibility of a major escalation. So good morning, everybody. Live in New York on a Tuesday. I'm Bill Hammer. Let's get it going right now.
Good morning. I'm Dana Perino, and this is America's Newsroom. So Fox News confirmed President Trump is weighing a return to all-out war. Now, that could include attacks on nuclear sites as well as other targets the U.S. has avoided thus far.
So after a weekend that saw Iran kill 3 American service members, bringing the U.S. death toll in the fighting to 17 since the fighting began.
Meanwhile, we are awaiting a big hearing on Capitol Hill. So it's going to happen this afternoon, and it will feature testimony from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs Dan Kane. Lawmakers are expected to press them on the cost of the conflict and the strategy for winning it.
So Trey Yinks begins our coverage live in Tel Aviv, where we've got a lot to get to. Trey, we begin with you. Hello.
Bill, good morning. The Iranians are launching new attacks today. Earlier, sirens sounded across Bahrain amid incoming Iranian missile fire. The Jordanians say they shot down at least 5 incoming Iranian drones. This does follow another heavy night of U.S. strikes against Iran. It was the 10th consecutive night aimed at degrading Iran's ability to threaten vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Central Command released a statement saying since early May, CENTCOM forces have helped facilitate the transit of approximately 900 commercial vessels and 450 million barrels of crude oil. They went on to say American forces remain postured and prepared to hold Iran accountable for unwarranted aggression towards civilian mariners seeking to freely and openly transit the strait. Early this morning, Iran attacked another tanker off the coast of Oman, forcing the crew to evacuate the vessel, according to maritime tracking groups. This does come after President Trump issued a new warning to the regime about killing American forces in the Middle East. The commander-in-chief said every time Iran kills an American soldier, they will pay for that killing many times over. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson was asked this week about the possibility of U.S. forces entering Iran. This was his response.
They will face the consequences. I believe there are people in those very areas, and they are not few in number, who are counting the moments until they can welcome them.
The comments come as the Wall Street Journal reports that Iran moved nuclear centrifuges into Pickaxe Mountain, an underground facility next to the Natanz nuclear site. The report, based on Israeli intelligence, is the latest to focus on this site. President Trump indicated last week he is considering new strikes against the facility. We're also tracking developments with the Houthis in Yemen, one of Iran's largest proxies in the region. The Houthis say they are implementing a naval blockade against Saudi Arabia. Bill?
Trey, thanks. Trey Yinks in Tel Aviv. Thank you. Dana?
Rich Goldberg, senior advisor at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. I know you track this very closely. What's the most important thing you're watching today? Are we in an escalation trap?
Well, I don't think we're in an escalation trap. The question for escalation is what does Admiral Cooper at Central Command need to complete the mission that he's on right now? It does not appear that we are launching operations to bring down the regime. We have economic tools that are underway to do that, a strangulation via the blockade and other measures. What we are seeing is Project Freedom underway 10 nights in. And so the question the president will have to Admiral Cooper is, where are you on the target set that you had developed for Project Freedom? That's to get shipping going through the Strait of Hormuz. Are we actually seeing shippers continue to move? Can we protect them? Have we degraded their ability? What else do you need to degrade that capability to hit the strait? I think that's the president's focus, because that's what we need for the oil markets, and that's what we would need to bag all the wins of Operation Epic Fury.
Rich, some of your colleagues for the Foundation Defense of Democracies writes this. Tehran has a wartime advantage over Washington because the ruling Iranian elite wants to fight and has been willing to endure far more pain than Donald Trump has. Do you agree with that, Rich?
Well, obviously, the regime does not have political constraints. They don't worry about the oil market. They don't worry about prices for their people. So in that respect, we are always handcuffed politically as a democracy compared to a ruthless dictatorship in Iran. Now, I would say it was probably a mistake to allow people like Ahmad Vahidi, the head of the IRGC, who's behind all of these attacks, to walk freely for the Supreme Leader's funeral. Hopefully, the Mossad, others have tracked his movements, other senior IRGC leaders as well. And if they are the key impediments here to getting the Strait of Hormuz moving, you'd have to imagine that's also part of the escalation options that we have in front of us if we think we can get to them. But again, I think the core focus here is not to play the game of disinformation and mind games with this regime. This is about barrels moving through the Strait of Hormuz. It's about who controls the Strait of Hormuz. And then understand that if there are other big ticket items like Pickaxe Mountain that we can't leave alone, that we're not going to get dismantled via negotiation with a regime like this, we are going to have to find a military solution to ensure they don't ever get a nuclear weapon.
Let's dive in a little bit deeper on that. The Wall Street Journal is saying that Israel believes Iran moved nuclear centrifuges into Pickaxe Mountain. The U.S. has reviewed the Israeli assessment, and President Trump has threatened to attack the site. Why is that different from the ones from Operation Midnight Hammer?
So I've talked about this site for a long time, as have some of my colleagues. This has been under construction for years now. The Biden administration did nothing about it. In fact, was part of the appeasement problem that let them continue construction of this facility. This is buried deep underground near Natanz, deeper underground than Fordo was. It's supposed to be more hardened of a facility to withstand military strike. It was not hit last year during Midnight Hammer. It was not hit this year during Epic Fury, which has raised questions of whether or not it can be hit by air or sea. So the question now is, have we developed solutions, even if they're short-term Band-Aid solutions, to bury it, to deny access to it? Because this is definitely the nuclear breakout facility that Iran wants. They can't allow that facility to continue.
Rich, last question here. Apparently there are negotiations among players in the region that would negotiate a 10-day pause. I don't know how you feel about that or not. And then part of the negotiations would allow the Iranians to charge some sort of fee for ships that go through the islands that they control, but at the same time allow the international Omani route to continue. And in a lot of ways, they're splitting the baby here, Rich. Do you see this as a possibility between Iran and the U.S. right now?
I would hope not. There should be no fees, no charges, no tolls going on. We should have freedom of navigation that is respected by all parties. That should be the bottom line. And it's nice that I guess the Qataris continue to talk to people and try to get deals done. I actually think it undermines the president at this moment. He should tell his partners to say, hey, cool your jets. Don't go taking deals. Don't go talking about deals with them. I am sending a clear message here. We are going to continue this until our target set is complete, until they are no longer threatening the Strait of Hormuz, and I'm not going to be taking off ramps because my mission is going to be completed one way or the other. And if they get that message, you might actually get the diplomacy to work.
All right, Rich Goldberg, thanks for kicking us off this morning.
Thank you, Rich.
You bet.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.